Welcome to Salesforce Math. I will be, Anna. I'll be picking your brain later as to why you picked this out of the four options. Because I'm just curious. But we'll get to that as we go along. Um, yeah. So, well, first off, just a little bit more about myself. I think my LinkedIn profile banner says it all. Originally from Ireland, I was a Salesforce account executive in the Salesforce European HQ in Dublin, where I effectively took on new opportunities for small business in the UK, alongside the implementation partners who would typically deal with quick starts. So I didn't want to be a sales guy for the rest of my life. I wanted to be a Salesforce consultant. So the best option for me was move to London. So I was there for almost 10 years. Everything from large-scale multi-year rollouts to thousands of users, like from scratch, to startups. I was at end user. I was at consultancies. Just everything in between, from one-man band to one of the largest hospitality companies in the world. So really, really diverse. And yeah, I'm in Spain. I'm a Salesforce instructor. I'm working remote, supporting clients in the US and the UK. So that's about me, and I love talking about Salesforce. And my hands will be moving around, guys, so I'll keep my camera on so as I try and get some points across. It's also great that some of you guys here are pretty new to Salesforce, and also some of you are developers. So maybe you haven't really come across some of the concepts I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm hoping that people won't be logging off early. We're going to start off fairly easy with some stories as well. I've got a few stories from my Salesforce days because a lot of this stems from there, and how I've just gone a lot deeper with the ideas, and a few stories about where it worked and where it didn't work. So on the agenda for today, first of all, is be the math guy or the math girl. Going through definitions. What I'm hoping to focus on, go a little bit deeper, is I'm just highlighting it as compound interest and how magical it is. We're going to go on a little side quest to talk about some of the most important fields in terms of solution sales. We're talking about sales here, guys, predominantly today, and supporting sales organizations. And then we're just going to talk about a little bit of governance and how I like to work with sales directors, sales managers. That's pretty much what I've been focused on for the guts of my career since I've been a consultant. It's mainly been with sales. Yeah, it's mainly been sales directors, and that's channel sales, direct, just everything basically. Okay, great stuff, guys. So I think the title of today's talk was inspired by this gentleman here that some of you might recognize from about 8 years ago. I'm the math guy, said Andrew Yang, as he was trying to make his pitch for President of the United States. But the big thing here about why we're talking about math is that we want to be able to give sales management a bit of power. And what I mean by that is that they can form an idea saying, well, if my guys do this, my folks going to do this, then maybe this will happen. Okay. So a sales initiative, I prefer to use the word hypothesis. If people do the stuff, if they do the thing, then this should happen. Sounds very, very simple. I'm sure some of us who are more experienced, whether Salesforce Dynamics doesn't really matter, we've probably seen these sales initiatives start and collapse, or perhaps it was a marketing initiative, start, collapse, support. We've all seen it. So it's really about how we can support them. Because the first thing we need to do, in my opinion, is we form a baseline formula and a set of definitions for each component in the formula, right? Okay. So the story behind this particular formula, which today we're just focusing on new business, comes from my very first sales call at salesforce.com. So I had been to training. They were nice enough to send me out to San Mateo, just south of San Francisco, for a week or two. and basically just pour, Kool-Aid into my ears. So when I came back and had my first sales call with the small business in the UK, you can just imagine all the Salesforce propaganda that just came out of my mouth. My boss was listening in, my sales director, he was listening in on the call just to see how I was doing. And as soon as I hung up, I thought it was a great call. And he said, Fergal, can we talk in the office, please? And everybody got that ooh kind of look. And he said, okay, let's take a seat. Okay, I want you to forget everything the Americans taught you, everything. All right. He went to the board and he wrote up a formula and he said, I want to get this into your head. And this is why people buy Salesforce. So that's what I'm trying to do today. And we're just going to go a bit deeper as well. It's really super simple. The number of leads you have in a given time period, month, quarter, doesn't really matter, times the conversion rate of those leads into working opportunities, right? Times the close rate of those opportunities, times the average deal size equals your total revenue. Okay, so those four components is keeping it super simple. That's what I'd never seen this before. I was, pushing 30 and no one had ever said this to me before. This is basically new business. You can add in a few more terms there. So I have come across companies where they say, well, hang on, Fergal, our demos are extremely expensive time-wise for our team to put together. It's basically a proof of concept every time. Can we add in another term there that just says, what percentage go into a full demo? So of course you can. It might create a bit of a fork there, but all the math is very, very, very simple. Cool. So again, that is a new business formula. You should be able to do very easily the exact same for renewal, exact same for existing business, which would be the number of customers you have times the number of new opportunities that are created within a quarter or whatever it is, times the average deal size, all that sort of stuff. It's very, very, very simple, guys, in the maths, right? So let's just plug in some numbers. Let's just say we've got a very small sales team who are working. We're looking at a quarter. Let's look at a month. So if we get 1,000 leads in, if we convert 1,000 of those leads, if 400 of those become real active opportunities, we close 30% of them. So we've got 120 deals closed for the month. The average deal size is $1,000. We have $120,000 for the month. Really super simple. Hopefully everybody's still with me. Great. So we have a couple of little bonuses thrown in here, guys, because most of the questions I actually get is, how does Salesforce do it? To give you a bit of context about how Salesforce's sales organization is built up generally, if you fill out some of the guys here today have probably got some messages from the sales representatives at Salesforce, because you've probably signed up for a free trial or a free dev org. You might have got a message from somebody to see if you'd like to engage. They're in marketing, basically. That's what they do. Their job is to qualify anything inbound, usually from small business. So the SRs, sales representatives, right? They're not actually in sales, they are marketing. Then there's the enterprise business representatives, EBRs. They do outbound to larger companies. So they try and flesh out who the decision makers are and profile them as an economic buyer or a technical evaluator, whatever it might be. And then you have the account executives, who are the sales folks. Emerging small, medium business. Is that it? Yeah, I think it's something like that. That is for employees, companies, prospects who have between 1 and 18 employees, roughly. Then there's small business, which is 18 to about 70 employees. Mid-market, which is 70 to 500, then general business 500 to about 3,000, and then there's named accounts, right? So the sales representatives, there is a reason why I'm telling you this, don't worry, it'll all come together. The SORs typically work with the ESMB, the SBs, so the small businesses, so they feed up qualified opportunities. The EBRs go out hunting, and they feed the mid-market and general business guys. So that's how the business works in there. Right. So For those of you who are new to Salesforce, really new to Salesforce, or even those developers on the call, I often, for any small implementations that I do, typically people have been watching the video, they're business users, and they're saying, well, what is a lead? I get asked this quite a bit. I probably didn't answer it very well for many years. It's a standard object in Salesforce, but what is it? Is it a name in an email, or is it a completed web form that comes in, into your Salesforce from a form, or is it details of people you get from a purchase list? Well, actually, a lead is a marketing process, as you might say in the US. I have the definitions there because British English is different from American English. You may say process, so I would say process. It's a process of qualification. And typically, the SORs that would work with me, their job is basically to make sure that the prospect has some budget, that the person they're speaking to has authority to go ahead and evaluate and make a purchase, that they actually have a need, and that the timing is realistic, that it's not something that they're looking for next year. That's pretty easy for the SRs to do because people have signed up. Maybe they've put in some data. The price is online. They can get that. They put in their title. So guys who've signed up for the dev org in the past few days, you always got to pick your title. The need should be straightforward. They need a CRM, and the timing is roughly around now. So it was always very easy for them to pass up a lead to me. Another thing as a consultant in the field is you might have heard the term MQLs and SQLs. And we'll see why this is key to some of our math in a moment. A marketing qualified lead is when a marketing person, in Salesforce's case, the SRs, when they think that it's qualified. Okay. And a sales qualified lead is when sales takes that deal, doesn't matter what you call it, a lead, an opportunity, a deal, doesn't matter, whatever it is. When sales said, yep, we agree with you. Okay. So in Salesforce, I think we had 7 sales stages. So deals would come up to me and I get a notification. It would come up as a stage 1. I think it was just called prospecting. So I get these stage 1s in, and they'd be expecting my email. They'd be expecting a call from me because I've effectively been introduced by the sales rep. So the sales rep is targeted on getting those stage 1s, hoping that I will get that stage 1 to stage 2 or beyond. Okay. So a stage 2 for Salesforce, that is a sales qualified lead. We didn't use those terms. We just call them stage 1s, stage 2s. Sometimes I would move a stage 1 to close lost, directly to close lost, saying, I can't contact this guy. Or they just came back to me and said a flat no. So one time I actually, I think I emailed, I tried 3 times, and I logged my activity against this stage 1 opportunity. I called the guy 3 times, couldn't get through to him. I had the description of everything from my SR, and I just put it to close lost. I was like, I've tried as much as I could, really. Anyway, my SR marches upstairs and marches right up to my desk, absolutely furious because she could see that I put it to close lost, and roared at me basically in front of everybody. And I said, look at the activity. I've emailed the guy. I've called him, and she said he's ready to buy. He's definitely ready to buy. I'm telling you, just reopen the opportunity because he's ready. And this is where, okay, in this case, she was right. The guy had a family emergency. It was no drama. But this is why definitions are so key, because we can disagree effectively, because we know the definitions exactly. So she knows exactly what a stage 1 is. I know exactly what a stage 1 is and what a stage 2 means. I would literally have to talk to the person to say, oh, okay, yeah, everything you say is correct. And you want to find out more? Great. That's a sales qualified lead. This is one of the big challenges I've had, even at very established businesses that seem to have nice processes. they don't get their definitions correct. And this leads to a lot of trouble and down the way for a number of reasons, because sales and marketing don't always get along, as that kind of story highlights. But at least you have clear definitions about what you can disagree about. And that's really, really, really important. Yes, so when we're talking about these components in our formula, it's really important that we know what we mean by, even though we're starting off with a really simple formula. Cool. Right, so now that we're being very specific about what every term means, we're just going to really delve into how we can actually help customers. And again, it really doesn't matter if this is a new business formula or if this is maybe a efficiency formula for, a call center to reduce, to have call deflection and call time and first time close of cases, all that sort of stuff. The real thing we want to be able to do is to, we don't always get to do it, but the best thing we can do for our colleagues, if we're an end user, or our customers, if we're a consultancy, is to delve into each one of those components and say, okay, sales director, where do you, what hypothesis would you like to test about this? Forget about Salesforce, forget it exists, pen and paper time. Okay, how can we increase the number of leads by 10%? What can we possibly do? Like, for example, if anyone, I'm not sure if it was Priyansh. I'm not sure if you're really, are you from an ISV? I'm not sure. But one way you might want to increase your number of leads is to go on calls like this. By the way, I'm not selling you anything, guys, at all. There's no pitch. But for example, a lot of ISVs will invite themselves onto these calls, Emma. So prepare for that. So that they will have some talk that around RevOps is very hot at the moment, and also any diagnostic tools. But anyway, that's a good way to generate more leads. Are there any other hypotheses that you'd like to test about generating more leads? Same for conversion rate, same for close rate, same for average deal size. And one thing about this, guys, is when I really got this into my head, I started seeing this everywhere. And that there's a McDonald's in the center of my town back in Ireland that has a huge volume of footfall going by it. So for that McDonald's, it's literally the footfall walking by. The tiny percentage that they need to convert, i.e. to get people in the door for a sales opportunity, doesn't really need to do that much. There's like thousands of people walking by every hour. Close rate is, it's going to be really high because they will, McDonald's, how many have you ever walked into a McDonald's and not been able to find a seat? Because they turn around the seats as fast as possible. They even encourage you to tidy up after yourself so that people will walk in and they will see that they can get a seat and they will not walk out again. And of course, the average deal size. Can anybody remember from a few years ago, they got in a lot of trouble for their way of increasing their average deal size? Can anybody put their hand up for that one? There was a movie about it. No? Everybody living very healthy in Orlando? Would you like to supersize it? Was the big thing. So they got in a lot of trouble for that. I think they got rid of it about, must be about 6-7 years ago. Anyway, I digress. As I said, now here's the bit that might upset Gary. For me, he's an environmentalist, Al Gore. I totally forgot that might upset 50% of the over 40s in Orlando, and the hanging shads and whatnot. But the idea is compound interest. So if we increase each of those 4 components by just 10%, so instead of 1,000, we've got 1,100. Instead of a 44% conversion rate, 40% conversion rate, we've got 44. Instead of a 30% close rate, we've got 33. Instead of an average deal size of $1,000, we have $1,100. What does that look like? Okay. And by the way, for the newbies who, again, this is according to my sales director, why people buy Salesforce. This is the formula that I was given, right? So this is our one page. If you were hoping for a big demo on how to build Salesforce, I do apologize. It's not the topic for today. Our new business formula is up here: leads, time conversions, times close rate, times average deal size. What I've got here is just a mock-up of a, excuse me, of a kind of a snapshot report. So we can see, we're going to go from January. We're going to run these hypotheses for 6 months. We're going to start off, as I said, 1,000 the leads with 40% conversion, 30% close, $1,000 average deal. Right, so they are our metrics. Down below, we have our key performance indicators that we hope, this is our hypothesis, will affect those metrics. Okay, so this is the difference between a metric and a KPI. Right, the metrics are the headline numbers in your formula. KPIs are aligned 99% of the time to just one metric. So for example, and this is just a mock-up, our hypothesis is if we drive more people to our webinars every month, maybe that will increase our number of leads. Also, if we start asking for referrals, what percentage of our customers are we asking referrals for? Maybe that will also increase. So these are our two, it's not very not very scientific because we're running two things at the same time, but it's something that we can start looking at. Are the people doing the thing? Are the sales guys and marketing guys driving more people to the webinar? Are they getting more referrals? Yes, they are. Okay, so the people are doing the thing. Great. Are we getting the result? Well, after 6 months, yes, we did. Awesome. For conversion, again, this is, follow my columns here if you can, guys. Can we get a key performance indicator that the first follow-up on any lead that comes in, can we follow up within 24 hours? Can we get a call connect within 48 hours? So here, after 3 months in March, we saw that this was actually going down. Okay, but we can start investigating why. People are not doing the thing. Okay, we can see that they're improving here, but yeah, ultimately it did get us from 40 to 44. But we can see this dip that our folks weren't doing the thing, and we can for newbies here, I could click in here and I can interrogate what that 22% is. I can dive into all those opportunities to see what's happening. You can interrogate it from here. Close rate, same thing, guys. I'm going to come back to this one later on because I love it. But let's just say that the percentage of deals older than 10 days, we've got a very quick sales cycle in this example. Anything older than 10 days is a waste of time. We should just get them out, put them to close lost. Our numbers show that we've got a very small chance of closing them. So we had a big backlog of old ops sitting there that was just wasting our salespeople's time. So we just killed them out. People did the thing. It's fantastic. And again, for the average deal size, in this instance, we suggested to our folks to latch on service contracts with all our deals. Maybe that will increase. And then we also had a bit of discount control that we, the percentage of deals with 20% more discount that we can do. So if we think about some of the tools, I'm just going to keep it very high level because I appreciate that we've got some newbies on, but I just want to paint the picture about what you can do. First of all, I mean, we could have, if our webinar software was integrated with our Salesforce, this number would be coming right in automatically. If we have a referral program, we could be running that through a product called Pardot, perhaps, or through Marketing Cloud. Okay, so maybe if you've heard about that, that could all be part of a solution that we could be putting in there. First follow-up, that's just this is probably just reporting on activity, on opportunities. Okay, and again, that's very easy to report on. And then discount control. There's approval processes that you can put in place so that nothing can close if it's got, unless there's a manager's approval on it. So we can have those kind of gates on our ops. Okay. So guys, we did it. It's a big celebration. We got up 10% on all of our Metrics, fantastic. 44, 44, 33, 1.1. Here's the cool thing, guys. This is why I was saying compound interest. Because our revenue was 120K. By increasing these four metrics just by 10%, I rounded up here. It's actually 176K, I think. 50% increase in revenue just by those tiny things. So these are the conversations that we should be having as Salesforce consultants. So, I mean, I've fallen into the trap as well, where you're just going around obeying sales directors when they ask for really, really silly things. You really want to be having these conversations. That's ideally where you want to be. I'll talk about that more in a later slide. That's our, I mean, a world record for a Salesforce presentation, that there's only one single page for the org. Yeah, I'm really proud of this. I can't believe I did it. And apologies to 50% of those over 40 from Orlando. I can't even remember what year that was. 98? I mean, no, I can't even remember. 99? Not sure. The poor Al Gore. Okay, we're going back to San Francisco to another little side quest behind the scenes at Salesforce.com. Just because I had a key performance indicator in that last slide that was around the field called business case. Just maybe you're interested about, again, more how Salesforce operates. I was there when they switched their sales methodology, which was very, very, very straightforward. There's two standard fields on an opportunity. One's called next steps, and one's called description. Very, very simple. There's also close date and amount and stage, all that sort of stuff. But pretty much we lived on that, basically. We had when I was about a year and a half in, we moved over to what's called the Sandler sales methodology. Now, there's loads of these sales methodologies. This is specifically geared for solution sales, i.e., where the salesperson really understands the problems that the prospect is facing and really gets into what's important, and ultimately helps to present a solution back and build that with the customer. So yes, so there's the three levels of pain which they wanted us to document. First level being what is technically happening at the prospect. What's the first pain? What's like literally happening? Second level of pain is the impact of that pain. And the third level, which was very difficult to get to, but when you did, it was very dramatic, was the impact at a personal level for that person. Like, how is it impacting that person? Sometimes they would tell us that they are getting fired if they don't fix the problem. So it could be that they have no visibility over their opportunities because there's a really long sales cycle and their sales folks won't keep it updated. The impact of that is that they have no idea what to focus on. And the impact of the sales director is that they basically have to micromanage. They're working 80 hours a week and they're thinking of quitting or they're going to get fired. Seriously, that's what they want us to be talking about, like for decision makers. Business case is why they should buy Salesforce. That is, if you can make an ROI, return on investment, saying, well, you've told us all your pains. Here's roughly what we're looking to do for you. Can you see that on this demo, that if you did this, you'll have your cool dashboards, you'll be able to figure out, you'll know where you stand, yada, yada. And here's your return on investment. We think you can increase your new business sales by 20% and existing business at 10%, that sort of stuff. Close plan is a mutually agreed close plan. This is so that you don't go around chasing tennis balls, i.e., if the prospect says, yeah, I want a demo, we would never say, okay. What we'd actually say is, if I do a demo for you and I need to know more about your pains that you're currently facing, then can you agree to give me a yes/no decision by the following Friday? So it's a mutually agreed closed plan that you can kind of hold them to, so that you're not jumping around after all their requests. Decision making is their decision making process, and identifying the decision maker. Does the finance director need to sign off, and red flags is any reason why they wouldn't go ahead. So, little behind the scenes. That's if anyone's going to be buying Salesforce shortly and moving over from Dynamics, that is what they're thinking on the other side. Cool. Okay, we're okay for time. I've been going quite fast. I should actually just pause here. I didn't stop for a breath to even ask if anybody's got any questions so far. And if it's 10 slides back, that's no problem whatsoever.
Yeah. If any of you have any question, please raise. You can use the chat or you can unmute and ask the question. We have a question from Mark. How much do you talk about Einstein and data?
1 second. Oh, I didn't have my chat on. Personally, how much do I talk about it? Very little. Sorry, Einstein, very little. Data, if we are doing an implementation from one system to another, just similar to what Stephen is doing, like from Microsoft Dynamics over to Salesforce, we talk about it a lot internally. Any data migration is a big project. There's the data migration. I've been involved with some massive data migrations and some like unbelievably massive data integrations. The two things are very different. So migration is just effectively a once-off. Integration is obviously continuous. I think I was a very painful year on one project where we were bringing in I don't even know, I'd say about 20 million purchase records of cars from going back decades, and this was not GDPR compliant at all. I just couldn't see what they were doing. Over about a period of about 30 years of car purchases from Hong Kong. It was unbelievable. So when you get into those levels, we get stuck for a year talking about data. But typically, when I'm touching data, it would be a migration for a small, medium-sized business, typically they might even be on Excel into Salesforce, or from Dynamics into Salesforce. That's pretty much it. For Einstein, I don't touch it at all. And Priyansh, during the sales process, what is the methodology in helping clients to connect with implementation partners for each? That's a very good question. Yes. So as it happens, I believe you're asking for yourself, obviously, how to get in contact with them. Yes. So you got to reach out to them directly because every account executive, every AE can pick whoever they want to be their partners. They don't even have to technically be a Salesforce partner, believe it or not. You don't have to be registered. You can pick whoever you want. And I suppose there's no methodology as such. When you're new AE, your colleagues will be very protective of the partners that they work with, because they don't want you to work with the partners, because sometimes the partners will, the good partners get backed up and you mightn't get them for a few months. If for a new consultancy approaching the AEs, I actually did a bit of this for last summer. I reached out to some AEs, basically the folks who have my old job, and I just said, "Hey, was you, and I'm there not. Let's have a quick chat." They were mainly ESMBs. They were getting killed at the time. We were looking at getting some nice, easy, quick starts. Just keeps entertained more than anything else. But they were getting absolutely murdered by HubSpot last summer, like absolutely slaughtered, because HubSpot were very competitive. They were offering, what would usually be like a 30 grand implementation for 5 grand. So basically total loss leader on every single account, just to get market share. So bad time to be talking to them. Now, if you're talking about SMB, enterprise level, you'd need to be a official partner at that level. Having them to connect with implementation partners. One of the best things you can do to get in the good graces of the AEs is to bring them deals. You go out and find them and bring them to them, and they just out of nowhere will get a deal saying, hey, we're implementation partner. We've been speaking to this business. They're in your patch, which is basically just a zip code and the size of the number of employees that they have. You can you contact them and find out very quickly who they are. They will be very glad to hear from you. And in that case, they won't introduce any other partners. Typically, if it comes in from, if I was an AE and it comes via my SR or my EBR, I've got a choice of partners I can decide about. I might have like 4 that I deal with, and I'll pick the ones that are most applicable. Let's say if there's some development work, well, I know these guys don't do much development work, so it's over to these guys. So usually you want to have a niche. There we go for the dictionary again. In America, you guys say niche. Over here we say niche. If you have a particular niche it sounds like Priyansh, you do in terms of RevOps, as I mentioned earlier. That is a very hot area. We're actually looking at doing some of that over on this side of the pond. We're getting that's a core offering together. It doesn't have any e-commerce aspect to it, so it would be more of a B2B RevOps kind of solution. So we're looking at that. Well, actually, I say we. My colleagues are. My partners are. I'm not at the moment. But yeah, so having a niche is very important. But the absolute killer, if you can get an existing client, either like more licenses or a portal or experience, deal, anything like that. If you can bring in more business, that would be awesome. That will get you in the good graces. But for mid-market, you need to be a registered partner, I'd say. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. So Mark is keen on focusing on AI and data cloud. The moment
actually for Mark's question, we'll try to do some sessions on AI and data cloud, Mark. So you can join those in future.
I've got zero interest in data cloud, to be honest, guys. If I hear
currently, I think Chatura is connected with Debbie in Pompano Beach user group. They are doing some sessions on data cloud. They are preparing. So, Chatura,
we are having a study group actually we are preparing for the data cloud certification. So for that, we are having some sessions for that.
Cool. Yeah, guys, I've just got a couple more slides just to wrap things up and maybe just tie this all together. Priyansh, no, we've got this time for that one more question. More information on looking up industry specific AEs. You know what? The best source and for the verticalization is LinkedIn. Quite often they will have the vertical there. Not always, but I would say, yeah, they should have it there. Where we were focusing last summer, ESMB, SB, they're very roughly verticalized, while MM, GB level. So let's say 500 employees, space above. Yeah, they will be. Yeah.
Got it.
But LinkedIn is good. Yeah. Cool. Just to wrap it all up here, guys. We'll take more. We'll have more discussion afterwards. Don't worry. Sure, if we've got time. Cool. One big mistake that I've made in my career, guys, as a consultant, is not knowing the audience that I'm speaking to, which is ironic today because some people might be thinking the same. But one thing that I saw a documentary about Muhammad Ali, he doesn't even make the top 10 greatest fighters. He didn't actually win that much. compared to like later years. It was I was very surprised by that, because he's just known as such a legend. But really, he was the first sportsman who really captured the imagination, being on TV. And he was a poet, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Yeah, I thought he was just being cool and jolly and all that sort of stuff. The real reason he was making a name for himself is he wasn't speaking to the public. He wasn't speaking to anybody in particular. He wanted his message heard by the boxing promoters, who would organize bigger and bigger fights until they had the Rumble in the Jungle, where he got paid an absolute fortune for it. So he knew who the audience who he really was trying to reach. And quite often when this is where I've had some real failures, is that when I'm speaking to a sales director, it's going right through their ears and they're just saying, how am I going to explain this one level up? And if I'm showing them something in Salesforce that they're just about getting their head around, like let's say the dashboard that we looked at earlier, they're just about getting their head about it. They might not feel the confidence to explain that one level up where the decision makers are. Quite often I start any consultancy for any even small aspects. I just say, guys, forget about Salesforce. What do you need to be able to do? What is your formula? What hypotheses would you like to test for improving your metrics? Let's work out what those KPIs are. Whiteboard, pen and paper, that sort of stuff. Get those ideas down, and that's what we need to be able to implement. And I know that a lot of the folks here are far more technical than I am. I am on the track for the application architect. I've got my sharing and visibility architecture cert. I actually teach a small course on it. But sometimes you just got to get back to down to pen and paper when you're dealing with the folks. And last one, guys, as I said, as you can see, that is Elizabeth II. So you can kind of guess how long ago I came up with this graphic. So at least 18 months ago, because she's dead. If you've seen The Crown, that TV show, chronicling her life, I think it was the first season. There was one scene that I really liked from it. It's the one with Claire Foy, where the Queen basically says here, listen, my job is not to govern. It is to ensure that there is government. There was some kind of crisis or something going on. That really stuck with me because, Salesforce consultant, whether you're in-house or whether you're an external consultant, it's definitely not your job to make sure that people do the stuff. It's to provide the framework so that the hypotheses that the sales director wants to test can be managed, it can be controlled, it can be reviewed, it can be improved, it can be rescued, it can be scrapped, whatever it might be, to help people do the stuff to see if it'll all happen. That's why Her Majesty would meet with the Prime Minister. I don't know how many Prime Ministers she's had, about 15 or something, or more. She's been like 7 in the past few years in the UK. It's been a total disaster. But there's an audience with the Queen every Tuesday. It's now an audience with the King, where the Prime Minister has to go in and say what he or she is currently trying to do and how it's going. Wouldn't it be cool if you're that person for your sales director? You don't obviously call yourself the Queen or King, but you're there to say, hey, you're trying this hypothesis. Let me help you out. Let's just drill down to the KPIs. I'll make sure that it's in there. I'll make sure the checks and balances are in there so that your hypothesis can come to an end and hopefully it's success. And that is a lot more fun for the two folks who are quite new to Salesforce. This is a much more fun conversation to have than being asked for another multi-select pick list. Believe you me. Please don't fall into that trap in your career as you move forward. You want to be having high-level careers with these conversations, and that's I think it's hopefully this talk has been nicely timed for you guys. Perhaps you might be more interested in the technical. That's fine. Cool. Super quick recap, guys. The formula: if you get your definitions of each component, you can then build hypotheses. You can then look at the impact. Communications, remember that the person you're speaking to needs to explain it to the person above them, to the person above them, to the board, to Wall Street, keeps on going up, and just have some governance there, guys. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. It's been a treat, and I'm really happy to take any questions, guys. And I know I've bombarded you, and I know I talk extremely fast. I know that I've got a crazy accent.
It was so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you.
Super. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering how active this group is.
Thank you very much.
Actually, we are trying to do at least couple of virtual events per month. But for this month, this is this one, and in 15th we have our next meeting. Yeah, and for this month, actually 3 meetups. 15th, and part 2 of that is on 30th. If you are following our group, you will get the email, and also I'm posting everything on the LinkedIn profile related to this admin community. And yeah, there is a Facebook group as well, Facebook page as well. So I'm posting there as well. So you can get the update if you're following all the Salesforce admin community, Orlando related pages, LinkedIn pages, and all those things. Yeah.
Real quick. Hello.
Hi.
My name is Fritz. I wasn't able to introduce myself recently because I have an issue with the camera and the microphone. So I recently passed my Salesforce admin. So I would like to start working definitely on that field. So I know today is not related for that, but that's one of the reasons I joined the group, because I live in Orlando. So I don't know, guys, how you can help me, because I really I have skill, but it's hard for me to find job. So if like one of us like guys can help me, like I don't know, any referral, that will be really or very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay. You can share your LinkedIn connection. We can connect with you, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yep.
and we can share for any like opportunities we are getting. We can share on that as well. And also, I'm planning to do a session with Melissa about how to land into a Salesforce job.
Mm-hmm.
So that we were planning to do it as our first session, but unfortunately, Melissa's husband got sick, so we couldn't do it. But we are going to do it in future.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, that also
Thank you
will.
very much, Fergal. So it was a great session, actually. So I think we have another part.
No, that is for Pregal has four topics, so I'll
Oh, yeah.
connect with you, Pregal, on the next session.
Let's have some different sessions. Actually, it was a great session, and it
Yeah,
was a
those
different
topics
theme.
are so nice. I wanted to go one by one. That's why I selected first one.
I
And the first
appreciate
one
you
was like
coming.
Salesforce Math, so that was like catchy.
Yeah, actually, I was just wondering, like, Anna, that was the one question I had for you. Was it just because it was a catchy title, or?
Catchy title, and it is about how to, like you mentioned, it is related to sales. So yeah, that too, and also that is the first one on that 4 sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, strange enough, Show Me the Money was the talk that is the most popular. So I did 2 of those in the past.
You do that as well.
I think I can do it blindfolded at this stage. I don't even need the deck. Yeah. So no, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. It's a little late over here on this side of the pond. I might just thank you all for the welcome and for for contributing. It's been really real pleasure. It's actually nice for me to go through this deck that is just a bundle of ideas until today, really. So thank you all, guys.
Thank you, Fergal. Let's have a couple of
Nice,
sessions in the future as well.
For sure. Great stuff.
Thank you
Thanks,
again.
guys.
Yeah. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for
Thank you all for joining.
Okay.
Have a
Thank you
nice
very much, guys.
evening.
Have a
Bye.
nice evening. Bye.